Well, I want to welcome everyone here. Nice to be with you. Nice to be here. So we have this odd little dilemma that's been going on through human beings as far back as history goes. And this sort of dilemma, this existential dilemma, is really the heart of what spirituality is all about. And it's for millennia, as far back as you can go. Human beings have been wondering, how can I feel better? How can I escape this sense of being trapped in one's own psychology? Do you know what I mean? Being sort of stuck in your own little psychological bubble, the little storyteller chattering away in your head, and some days telling you that everything's really good, and then other days telling you everything is really not so good at all, terrible. And for millennia, people have noticed this immense tendency to get locked, trapped in this little psychological bubble. And then they've sought ways to get out of it, to escape from it. And spirituality, in many ways, is a outgrowth of that phenomena, of the phenomena of this existential dilemma of people trying to escape from themselves. Funny enough as it may be. Your idea may or may not be to escape your own sort of little psychological bubble. Your idea may be to go somewhere better, to have a union with God or with Guru or with the universe or with who knows what. But of course, if a human being was not troubled in some way, it would never really occur to them to be at one with anything, would it? What would be the point? You know, if you're having a great day, feeling absolutely wonderful, day after day after day, moment to moment to moment, everything's really wonderful and fine, and you're not displeased, you're not unsatisfied, you're not looking for more, different, or better. What would be the point? And so whether one thinks they're trying to get away from something or get towards something, to something, God, Guru, whatever it may be, Nirvana, it's actually the same movement. Away from and toward. And that's where basically, in its most essential form, that's that impulse, that need, that desire is where spirituality, that's where it stems from. If you never felt like you were separate, you'd have no need for spirituality. What would be the point? So here we are. And we are just like millennia after millennia after millennia of other people, other beings with the same concern. Some of us may like that idea because we like the feeling of comfort and friendship, and other people have been endeavoring in this too for a long, 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 yes. And some people may not like that, like, well, I'm not like the herd, I'm special, I'm doing something that nobody's ever done before. So you might have a different relationship with that idea. And of course that drive toward or away from, that drive to break out of the bubble of one's own little isolated view, That little one's own little psychology. That wanting to get out. And the intuition, because there is an intuition, the intuition that there's something more real. A lot of spirituality is informed by a basic intuition that there must be something more real, more true, more satisfying than what tumbles around in my head. There certainly must be something more stable than what tumbles around in one's head. And so, this drive, if you simplify it, it's either a drive away from or toward. I want to get away from what I'm experiencing, how I'm feeling. I want to get away from this sense of separation, whatever it may be. I want to get away from the person I think I am. Who knows? Or I want to get toward. I want to get towards the person I want to be. I want to get towards nirvana. I want to get toward enlightenment. I want to get toward God. Does that make sense? So running away or running toward, it's all actually the same movement. Because, when you're running away from something, if you look in front of you, you're running toward something too, So it's not actually two different things. It's just the same movement from two different perspectives. Now, why am I starting off like this? I'm asking myself. No. Because it may seem, and it is very elementary. It may seem, and in many ways it is very elementary. But if you have an understanding of this very simple thing, that one is always moving away from or toward something. And that defines almost everybody's spirituality you'll ever meet. Right? Even when people say, I'm trying to be in the moment, it means they're trying to move toward the moment. I'm trying to be in the now. It's okay, I understand it. It's a good sort of instruction and everything, but I have yet to meet anybody who's actually managed to escape now. I've met a lot of people who've been right now because it's the only place they can actually be is now, dreaming that they're somewhere else than now. That's possible. You can be now imagining you're somewhere else and then struggling to get back to now. So in that sense, the sort of direction to be in the now is a great direction if it's understood correctly. You see? But of course, this whole moving towards and moving away from, it is the dance of duality. It is the dance of illusion. That's the dance. That is the whole dance. The dance of Maya, the dance of illusion, the dance that creates a sense of separation, the dance that creates a sense that one is trapped in their own little psychology, the dance that gives you the perception that you're essentially different and very separate and isolated from the world and the people around you. It is actually this movement of running away from or running towards. That's the dance. Simple enough, isn't it? That's what creates all the problem. That is the dance of illusion. Without that dance, no illusion. That's what it does. That's how it weaves its magic. And an amazing magic it is, wouldn't you say? Amazing magic it is. It's magical that you can wake up and for no reason have a bad day. You know those days when before your foot ever gets to the ground and anything actually happens, you just cranky and irritable, and it's just, this day's really going to suck. A bad day, or a bad week, or a bad month, or a bad year, or a bad lifetime. Subsequently, you can wake up, and for no apparent reason, before your foot hits the floor, it just feels good. Right? It's a good day. No apparent reason. Nobody said they loved you yet, or praised you at work, or, your cornflakes didn't taste particularly good that morning. It just an uncaused satisfaction. So this push and pull is the most crucial thing to understand. Because if you don't understand it, guess what all of your spiritual life is going to be about? The entirety of it, every minute of it, is going to be about moving away from something, mostly yourself, moving towards something. Who knows what that will be? Nirvana, enlightenment, happiness, God, whatever. Right? Moving away from yourself, moving away from life, moving away from death, moving away from whoever. Yourself, your family, your loved ones. And since this sort of movement, or just sitting there in the quietness of your own, I was going to say the quietness of your own mind, but that's rather rare. But in the space between your ears, let's say, just sitting there in the space between your ears, and you can spend a lifetime trying to run away from it. People's entire spiritual lives can actually boil down to nothing more than trying to run away from what happens between their two ears. Have you ever done that? Like 3 people going, yeah, I've done that. The rest going, I hope he doesn't catch. It's a human thing, right? It's a human thing. Even if you meditate, okay, what am I doing? Well, I'm sure not trying to be where I am now. I'm trying to get to now, but I'm hoping that it's a very different now than now is. Right? So we'll give the desirable now big desirable names, whatever. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, a different now than now. Right? And if I can just get to that now, as opposed to this now, that now will be better. And if I can learn how to stay in that now is going to be better than this now. Does this all start to sound ridiculous to you after a while? It's because it is. But if you're not very careful, your whole spiritual life can end up being one ridiculous pursuit. Mine was for years. For years. And I think most people's is for years. Because we are all very human. We all kind of do the same things for a long time. So this game is very compelling. It's extraordinarily compelling. If I can get somewhere other than here, if I can feel something other than what I feel, if I can experience something other than what I experience, if I can change it, alter it, break through it, jump off the cliff, break through the gateless gate, have the most unimaginable, mind-bending, awakening experience that humanity has ever known, then I can rest. I know I'll stop when that happens. Right? I promise I will. Have any of you had some of those? You of course have had some of those, some sort of experiences a little bit. Right? Whatever they may be, they just may be waking up on a good side of the bed, or they may be the sudden understanding of all the cosmic forces throughout all time and space. They're not actually much different, those two experiences, by the way. They're all bound by the wheel of impermanence. They come, they stay for a while, and they go. Leave you wanting more. And that's the deception of it all. Keeps the game going. As long as you're running towards something and away from something, the game of illusion continues. The game of illusion doesn't care what you're seeking. It really doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're seeking $1 million, great recognition, to be loved, or to be enlightened. The game of illusion doesn't care. All it cares is you're seeking something or running away from something else. That's all it cares about. It's all it registers. It doesn't matter if someone's chasing a carrot or $1 million, does it? They're chasing. So this game that illusion has going is very, very magical. So, if you understand this game, if you're willing to understand the game, that's a big thing for people. If you're willing to understand it, if you're willing to see it, because there's, in many human beings, almost every human being, there's great resistance to actually seeing the nature of illusion. Everybody says, I want truth, but how many people want to see the nature of illusion, right? Because it's seeing the nature of illusion that stops you. That's what stops you. Kind of takes your breath away, like, that's what I've been doing? If you see the nature of it, it'll stop you. It kind of shocks you a little bit. Like, oh, God. And then for other people, there's no way they're going to let themselves see that. No. I will keep chasing. I will keep running. I will keep seeking. I'll keep striving. I'll get there, and I have lots of proof and lots of things that will tell me that I will succeed. In which case I say, great, seek harder. Seek all the way out. Be like a marathon runner that starts off like a 100-meter sprinter, so that you exhaust yourself quickly and efficiently. I mean, that's what I did, by the way. I exhausted myself. 4 or 5 years is pretty quick and efficient. By spiritual standards, but I wouldn't recommend it. Actually, I fear that a lot of you have actually done that. In which case you're in good company. Because everybody else in this room has done the same. Every single person in this room. Every single one of us. So the best way to get trapped in illusion is to try to escape it. Isn't that ironic? It's the best way to get trapped. The best way to get trapped is to think about ways to not be trapped. And the most perfect way to be trapped in illusion is to be convinced that you know the way out. That's high illusion. That is like Einstein illusion. Right? I know that what I'm doing is going to get me out of the trap of illusion. I know it's going to work. Has it worked? No, but I know it will. That's the highest form. So the best way to stay trapped is to try to get away. Ironic. Who would have thought? The best way to stay trapped in who you imagine yourself to be is always trying to be somebody different. Something different. Something better. Maybe it's more spiritual, more enlightened. Maybe it's actually less spiritual, less enlightened. Who knows? The best way to stay stuck in the confines of your own illusory self is to be constantly trying to get out of those confines. If you get that, and I know I've said this before, I think a lot of you, probably the majority of you have seen me before, probably listened to me, more than you may want to admit. But this is an easy thing to forget, isn't it? I mean, you can be totally convinced 1 minute, and 30 seconds from now, you can totally forget it as the pursuit takes over. It's amazing. You've got to be impressed with illusion. Truth is powerless. Truth just like, it's just waiting, you know. That's it. Maybe waiting for exhaustion or some strange reason why the pursuit or the avoidance ceases, and then it shines through. But illusion, that's actually much more impressive. It's not better, it's just more impressive. So the best way to stay trapped is to try to get away. It's like quicksand, you know. You want to sink quickest in quicksand, struggle to get out of it. Right? So what do we do? And by the way, this isn't just an elementary teaching. Sounds elementary, and it is. I mean, in one sense, it is elementary, but it's not just elementary. This is also a teaching for a lot of the people in this room who've had very powerful spiritual awakenings outside of separation, to oneness, to presence, to the whole thing. Maybe very big, maybe very subtle. But those of you who've had, a lot of you may also have recognized that even when you have those very experiences can generate later the exact same game. How do I hold on to it? How do I maintain it? How do I get it again? I don't want this experience, I want that one. I was in heaven last week and I want to get back. You see, so just because you have one of those big breakthrough experiences does not necessarily mean this game ceases, does it? It might. It might if you've actually woke up from the whole game. But it might not. So this isn't just elementary. This is actually a very deep, subtle, and profound thing. And when you stop trying to get away from yourself, or you stop trying to get towards something, whatever one is working towards, when you stop doing either one of those, you start to come upon a sort of inner anxiety, discomfort. It's like, I can't just be. If I don't pursue, I might not get there. If I don't resist, I might stay where I am, and I don't want to be there. So see, there can be a sort of an anxiety. Either that or an overt resistance, but even just a mild discomfort, like, oh, this isn't where I wanted to be. And when you see that as just the same game, it's just either more pushing away or running towards. People ask me all the time, what do I do about it? Right? Which means, how do I push it away or how do I get somewhere else? That's what do I do means, translated into less impressive language, right? How do I not be here? But see, the doing is more getting away from, isn't it? Or running towards. All the doing, here's what to do. All the doing will be translated as a way to not be where you are and a way as to get to some other place. It's not so much what do I do, but what do I realize? It's the deep existential understanding. Existential, in the way I'm using the word right now, is more like a understanding with your whole being. Not just in your head. It starts in your head, but it has to go to your whole being. Aha. All the new and varied forms of trying to get away from or get toward. And you see them. Aha. Like you get onto yourself. You catch yourself. Aha. Oh, I see. Very good. Caught myself pursuing again. Trying to get away from. People pursue in different ways. Some people pursue emotionally. They're always looking for a different experience, right? I want to have a different emotional experience. I'm looking to have better emotional feelings or a cathartic experience. Other people will be pursuing intellectually. I want to understand everything. I want to think about it. I want to comprehend everything in my mind. Different people are hooked up different, you know. They avoid the moment in different ways. So this weekend is actually about through the understanding, not because I'm saying to, because then that's just a technique, but because you actually see, you understand the nature of suffering, which is to always be moving away from suffering or away from anything and towards something else. That's the nature of suffering. That's what causes suffering, causes separation, causes this illusion that somehow you're separate from the divine ultimate reality. It's the only thing that can create the sense that you're separate from the divine ultimate reality. If there's no moving away from and there's no moving towards, there's nothing that can create illusion. Because we don't get to the ultimate. Because the ultimate is already happening. Right? Your butt on the floor, in the chair, is ultimate already happening. Reality is already happening. Nirvana is actually where you're hanging out right now. Whatever you want to call it, right? Union with God happened before you even thought of the idea of union with God. Actually, as soon as you thought about union with God, you created the illusion that there wasn't union with God. That somehow there could be separation. And then a reunion, a homecoming. Very romantic, isn't it? I've separated myself from God and we will come into great union. Mm-hmm. Romantic, but nonsense. Union is already a fact. Oneness is already a fact. The rest is just a dream. And it gets created by running away from something inside or outside and running towards something inside. As soon as that stops, everything is revealed. It's hard to even imagine that until you've known it, until you've experienced it. It's hard to imagine it. But most good things happen when you stop your pursuit, when you stop running away from.